I'm going to make... Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki. In today's video, I'm sharing a full day of eating with a 0 point only challenge. So I have a lot of fun doing these. I trek with WeightWatchers consistently, and what I do for these days is I only eat 0 point foods on WeightWatchers. Now, technically, 0 point foods can be different if you're on different plans, whether it's like the menopause program or diabetic program. But currently, I'm on the core membership where I just use the regular lose weight mode. I'm not on all in or anything like that. And so these are my 0 point foods, and I will just be sharing meals made only out of them today, which is still a challenge for me. I really do struggle on these days to not have cheese and bread and certain carbs that I'm used to, but it is really fun to get creative and try to come up with nice filling meals that still hit my protein goals, my fiber goals, and I will be tracking everything, even though it's 0 points, just so that I can see where I'm at with calories and nutrition information. So I'll share those numbers at the end of the day for everything that I eat, but I'll be going through all my meals that are going to be 0 points, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and find it helpful. So if you do, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I just got to the gym and I'm about to go do my leg day. I had a banana for 0 points. Usually I'll do like a protein waffle or a breakfast cookie, but because I needed something 0 points and something that was just quick, a banana is a good option for me for that. I ate that on the way here. I'm gonna go do my workout and then I will be back with breakfast. I had a leg day workout today, and I always like to warm up and then start with squats first if I'm doing them. Then this vertical leg press has become one of my favorite machines. It takes a lot of pressure off your back and allows you to get a really good stretch in your hamstrings. I just got back from the gym and I've got a plan in mind for breakfast. I'm going to be doing a breakfast snack plate, which I actually just haven't done one of those in general. I thought this would be perfect to take advantage of some 0 point foods. So I'm going to be making some homemade chicken sausages. This is lean ground chicken, 0 points on WeightWatchers. For the serving of 4 ounces, it's got 22 grams of protein. So that'll add a good amount of protein to my meal. I'm just going to use the ground chicken with some different seasonings. So I've got thyme and sage. I'm also going to use some salt, pepper, garlic and onion seasoning, and then some granulated onion. And I'll just mix that all together, form them into little patties and cook them on the stove. That'll be part of my snack plate. Then I'm also going to use my hard-boiled egg cooker and make some hard-boiled eggs. I'll probably have 2 or 3 of those. Also 0 points on WeightWatchers. And then I will have some fruit. I was going to make a dip using some non-fat plain Greek yogurt, and then I was thinking of doing like a birthday cake flavored dip. So I've got some cake batter extract and then some of this 0 sugar French vanilla sweetener. So I'll use a little bit of that in the yogurt, some of the cake batter extract, and then I've got pineapple and grapes, so I'll probably just set that up on my snack plate. But everything is 0 points. I just need to get started with the hard-boiled eggs and the sausage patties. I love this hard-boiled egg maker. It really does make the eggs perfect every single time. You just have to poke a hole in them and then pour the water into the bottom. Although I do have to say the noise that it makes when the eggs are done is so loud, and it still to this day scares me every single time I make them. But while the eggs are cooking, I get the chicken sausage patties ready to go. So I added some sage and thyme and salt and pepper and garlic. I always just prefer to put gloves on when I'm making burgers or chicken patties or things like this, so I just use my hands to mix all the ingredients together and weigh them out into equal portions. So once I've used my food scale to weigh them out into equal servings, I form them into the shape of patties and add them to the pan that I have heating up on the stove, and I just sprayed it with some nonstick olive oil spray. And even though these are technically 0 points, I do like to just weigh them out so that they're equal sizes, and it makes it just easier to track the ingredients, especially when I'm tracking everything for these 0 point days. So what I do is I weigh out the entire portion of ground chicken, and then I take that number and divide it by however many chicken sausage patties I want, and then that's the number that each one comes out to. Usually I weigh them out in grams, but you could also do ounces. I let those cook in the pan for a few minutes, and then once they start to brown a little bit, I just flip them over. And it worked out perfectly that right as those were finishing up, the hard-boiled eggs were also done, so I just put them in a bowl of cold water in the sink. For my yogurt fruit dip, I have the birthday cake extract that I just mix in to the fat-free yogurt, and I really like the Chobani brand for this, and for a lot of different recipes actually. It's really the brand that I get the most. And the fruit that I had on hand for my snack plate today was some red and green grapes and then some pineapple that I had gotten from Sam's Club. It was so juicy, so it went really, really well with the fruit dip. I decided to have 3 of the chicken sausage patties and then 3 hard-boiled eggs. I just cut each one in half and then topped it with some everything seasoning. And specifically, I used the Asiago everything seasoning that I had gotten from Aldi. We also have a jalapeno flavored one that is really good. I added a little bit of salt and pepper as well. And honestly, I meant to add some hot sauce to the eggs, but it didn't even need it. I was taking bites of the sausage patty with the egg together, and it was such a good combination. And then, of course, I ended with the fruit and dip. Okay, my breakfast snack plate is complete. This smells so good. The chicken sausages really do smell delicious. And I'm actually thinking about it, and I might start ingredient prepping these to just have ready because they're 0 points and hopefully they taste good. So let's go ahead and give them a try actually. I did try this yogurt dip that I made to make sure that it had enough of the sweetener and the birthday cake extract, but I'm also gonna try it with a grape really quick. So 0 points. The birthday cake flavor is so perfect in there. I've also got some hard-boiled eggs and then my chicken sausage, which I'm also going to take a bite of this right now. So it's nice and juicy. I don't know why I don't prep those already. I'm definitely gonna start doing that. They taste just like the store-bought ones that I get. But again, 0 points on WeightWatchers, and I can make like breakfast sandwiches and stuff with these. But anyway, that entire plate is 0 points. I did go ahead and track everything like I mentioned before, just so I could see calories and stuff today. So this entire plate is about 580 calories, and it's got 57 grams of protein, which is perfect after my workout. This will definitely be nice and filling, and then I'll be back with whatever I decide to do for lunch. For lunch, I knew I wanted to use up some of the ground taco meat that I had made in the fridge. I also have some roasted corn that I popped in the microwave just to heat it up so it wasn't frozen. And I get the roasted corn from Trader Joe's in the freezer section. I've got my oven preheating to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'm just prepping the sweet peppers that I'll be stuffing with the meat and corn mixture. I find it's easiest to just use a knife to cut each corner and then try to scoop out the seeds. And I ended up cutting 7 peppers. I probably could have done more, but it worked out well that I had extra mixture I just put on top, but you'll see that in a second. So once I got the peppers prepared, I've got the bowl of corn that I heated up in the microwave, again, just so that it wasn't frozen anymore. Then I've got this ground taco meat. I made it earlier in the week using lean ground chicken and taco seasoning, and I really wanted to add a good amount of that so I could add some protein and make this meal nice and filling. I wanted to add a little bit of cheesiness, so it worked out that I could add some fat-free cottage cheese and just mix that into the corn and meat. So I've got my glass baking dish here, which is 8 by 6 by 2, and I just spray it with some nonstick olive oil spray. Then you can see I just take the meat mixture and stuff it into each pepper, pressing it down firmly so I can get as much in there as possible. I really thought I was going to be able to fit all of this into the peppers, but that was not the case. So after I finished stuffing each pepper and laying them into the glass baking dish, there was some extra meat and corn mixture that I just ended up pouring over the peppers. It was all going into the oven to bake anyway, and I figured that I would be eating this with a fork, so why not just add all of it in? I also topped it with a little bit of taco sauce, so my favorite to use is the Taco Bell mild sauce, and I just get the bottle like this, usually from Walmart. I also sprayed the top of the bake with a little more of that nonstick olive oil spray, sprinkled on some garlic salt, and then popped it in the oven to bake for about 25 minutes or so until the peppers got nice and soft. It's now lunchtime. I just finished baking this in the oven. So these are my glass baking dishes from IKEA that I love to use for individual portions, whether it's like a pizza or something like this. But I had some sweet peppers and some already prepped taco meat using ground chicken. I mixed that with some roasted corn, which was just frozen from Trader Joe's, but I did pop it in the microwave for about a minute first. So I just mixed that with the meat and then stuffed the peppers with that. Also a tablespoon of 1% cottage cheese, which is 0 points. Then I filled the peppers and there was a lot of filling left, so I just kind of put it on top. I drizzled some Taco Bell mild sauce for 0 points, and then I sprinkled a little bit of garlic salt. This is 0 points for the whole portion. I'm going to eat all of it. It comes out to about 419 calories, and it's got 43 grams of protein. So I was thinking about adding beans, but I just decided that this is what I wanted. I think this will be a nice and filling portion, and it's got a decent amount of protein in it. So that is my lunch. I was feeling a little snacky in between lunch and dinner, so I did have some air pop popcorn for 0 points on WeightWatchers that had some salt and butter spray on it. Okay, it's not dinner time yet, but I do want to make some sweet potato cut waffle fries, and they need to soak in water for a little bit before I actually bake them. So I'm just going to get those cut up and soaking right now. I recently shared a copycat fast food recipe video where I made copycat Chick-fil-A fries and sauce. I had gotten this waffle fry cutter and it is amazing. So that's what I'm going to be using with some regular sweet potatoes today. I like to just leave the skin on, and then you just cut the potatoes with this, just turning them like a quarter each time. And that's what gives them the waffle cut design. But I just need to cut those and put them in a bowl of water, and then I'll start getting the rest of dinner stuff ready. I'm planning on making some burgers with grilled onions and mushrooms. I'll use lettuce for the buns, and then just have the sweet potato fries on the side, as well as some pickles. So I'm gonna get these cut up. I specifically got sweet potatoes for this dinner tonight because I've been wanting to try to make some sweet potato waffle fries with this new cutter that I got. Unfortunately, it was a lot harder to cut them than the regular potatoes, which you'll see in a second. I started using some yellow potatoes as well because I had some extras on hand, and they slice so much easier. So I did put this glove on just to be extra safe. And I've just got a bowl of ice water that I soak the potatoes in for at least 30 minutes. And this just helps to get some of the starches out to allow the potatoes to get more crispy when you bake them. So I made sure to get those soaking a little bit earlier than when I wanted to start dinner. And then after they were done, I laid out a towel like this and laid out each fry so they could get nice and dry. So at this point, I preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I let the potatoes sit out for a few minutes while I get the onions chopped that I'm going to be grilling on the stove just to use on my burgers. I place them in a pan on the stove to start cooking, and I cover them so they get nice and soft. Then on a sheet with some parchment paper and nonstick spray, I lay out the waffle cut fries, and I spray them with some nonstick butter spray as well as some salt. And then I have a seasoned salt that I really like from my local farmer's market, so I put a good amount of that on these fries. I just do a layer on each and then flip them over, spray them again, and add some more seasoning and salt. And then I repeat the exact same steps with the yellow potatoes that I cut. I just put them on 2 separate trays today in case they baked at different times. But they actually did end up finishing around the same time. So I sprayed them, added the seasoning, flipped them over, a little more spray and seasoning, and then I popped them in the oven at 400 to bake. Next up, I'm making the burger patties that I'll just be cooking on my griddle. So I've got some lean ground beef, an egg, and then some different burger seasonings, some onion salt. And pretty much the exact same way that I did for breakfast, I just use my hands to combine the meat with the seasonings. And then I use my food scale to weigh out equal portions for the burgers. And I find it easier to weigh out all the portions first and then form them into the shape of a ball. Today with these patties, I want to make them more like a smash patty. So I will be using my burger press, and what I do is I just wrap some foil around it, and then I spray it with some nonstick spray before I press it onto the ground beef patties. That way it doesn't stick as much, although you'll see I kind of do have to peel the patties off of it. So here I've got my griddle heated up, and I'm forming the meat into balls first. I want to make sure they're all formed into a ball before I start cooking them because they do cook pretty quickly. Then you can see I put them on the griddle and use my press to flatten them out as much as I can. It definitely does help to spray the burger press with some nonstick spray just so that it comes off a little bit easier. But I just press the burgers down and let them cook on each side for a few minutes. And I did this in 2 batches because I ended up making about 10 burger patties. Then about halfway through baking them, I pulled the waffle fries out and I just used a fork to flip them all over. I do end up baking these pretty long because I try to get them nice and crispy, so this was about 15 minutes in. And the overall bake time ends up being about 25 to 30 minutes total. Then I decided to make a quick sauce for the fries. So I've got some non-fat plain Greek yogurt, a little sriracha, some garlic powder, no sugar added barbecue sauce, and I just like the Sweet Baby Ray's brand. And I just mix it all together until it forms a sauce. Then I'm on to the second batch of burger patties. Again, kind of struggling to get it off of the burger press, but I was happy with how flat I was able to get them this time. It's definitely harder to get them more flat and crispy when they are more of a lean meat, but I like to use this because it is 0 points. I laid out some romaine lettuce for the burger patties, and then I topped them with my onions as well as some spicy mustard. I loved the combination of this mustard with the onions and the burgers. And I always joke that I can't have a burger without a bun, but honestly, the romaine worked really well because there was so much flavor with the onions and the mustard and the patties that I really didn't mind it. But I was able to have a good serving of the waffle fries. I had some of the sweet potato and yellow potato fries. And then, of course, I had to add some gherkin pickles to have on the side with my burger and fries. Okay, dinner is done. I've got a mix of my sweet potato and then yellow potato waffle fries. I have 2 burger patties. They're 3 ounces each, so 6 ounces of lean ground beef. Then I put a good amount of onions, a little bit of spicy mustard. I've got my pickles and some romaine lettuce. And then I decided to make myself a quick sauce for my fries. So in here I've got the Sweet Baby Ray's, which is 0, the Greek yogurt 0, and adds a little bit of protein. And then the sriracha for a little bit of a kick. So this meal comes out to about 501 calories. And for protein, it's got 41 grams. I usually have my apple right after dinner. I might save my apple for the dessert that I'm making. So I'm just gonna eat this first and then decide what I'm doing then. Usually I have my apple just after dinner, like a plain normal apple, unless I make it into apple nachos or put it in my yogurt bowl or make it into a dessert like I'm probably gonna do. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and eat dinner. For my dessert tonight, I'm going to be using another one of those IKEA glass baking dishes to make a little bit of like a berry apple crumble. I start with a half cup of old-fashioned oats, and I'm mixing in some blueberry applesauce, some cinnamon, and then some of that no sugar added sweetener that is the Torani brand. And I just used French vanilla sweetener for that. Then I've got a Cosmic Crisp apple here that I'm just chopping up, and I prefer to just leave the skin on, but you could definitely peel it. But I just dice it into smaller pieces and add it to that glass baking dish with a good amount of these mixed berries that I get from Sam's Club. They're just in the freezer section. I added a good amount of cinnamon to the fruit as well as some of this cinnamon vanilla sweetener, and then I just used my hand to mix it all together and get everything coated. On top of that, I just add the oat mixture with the applesauce and spread it out to make a crumble topping. And then I pop this in the oven to bake for about 30 minutes, rotating halfway. I drizzled a little bit of no sugar added chocolate sauce, which I hadn't tried before, but it actually went really well with this. But this was such a great portion and definitely satisfied my sweet tooth. Okay, my berry apple bake is done. It smells so good. I did decide to top it with a little bit of that chocolate Torani sauce. I got it the other day when I was getting more of the sugar-free syrups and I wanted to try it more so in a coffee drink, but I decided to drizzle some on this as well. It kind of smells like Tootsie Roll, so I feel like that might add some good flavor to this. But this is 0 points on WeightWatchers, and that's going to be the last thing that I have today for my 0 point challenge. I'm ending the day using 0 out of 25 daily points. I tracked everything in WeightWatchers, all the 0 point foods, obviously, even though I don't usually do that, but just so that I could see the calories and the nutrition information. So today I'm ending the day with about 1,920 calories, so a little bit on the lower end, but I feel like that always happens with these videos. I still feel like I had a good amount of food though. Everything's been really filling, and it always works out that way because I try to bulk up the meals with a lot of these things. I had 64 grams of fat, 195 carbs, 149 grams of protein, and 34 grams of fiber. Overall, my nutrition was great for today, and like I said, I had an enjoyable day of meals. Everything was filling and tasted really, really good. I can't even decide which meal was my favorite today. I really, really enjoyed dinner, but the breakfast snack plate was nice too, and that was something kind of different, so I think I'll start incorporating those more. But I'm gonna go ahead and eat my apple berry bake to end the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Just a reminder that I do these videos for fun. I don't really recommend that you need to do 0 point days for any other reason than to challenge yourself, to come up with some fun recipes, or really just prioritize some 0 point foods. That's the only reason that I like to do these. Not for like a reset or cutting out any types of foods, but just for fun. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.